Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome to a little bit more Total War Arena for our Sunday Smackdown. So I do want to continue playing this just a little bit, because typically with games like this, it's difficult to tell for sure what the content is going to be like if you're just playing it too early on, and don't get a little bit deeper into it, because the starting units are usually the most basic and some of the least interesting. I've tried out a little bit of matches using the consumables. They don't feel like they make a humongous difference. Things like the arrows, you actually carry a limited number of those arrows with you into battle, and in any event, archers are kind of suck a little in this particular game right now, in my opinion. I might be wrong about that. There might be a time when they start really becoming useful, but right now what I find is that, typically speaking, like, their range is quite short, so they'll get one volley off, and then their enemy is too close to you for you to do anything. And is like the entire duration of melee combat, you can't use your ranged units, simply because if you're in melee combat, then your ranged units just don't do anything. So it's that kind of game, basically. We're going to try and as well get to artillery with the Romans, because I know that that is something that had a major impact on how the game is played in terms of the meta and everything like that. I think that artillery wound up being just ridiculously overrepresented, and I hope that it is significantly weakened or something from what it was before. Preferably, I'd like it if it's even more immobile than it was in previous. Although, of course, it's not going to be too fun for the player, I guess, if you can't move anywhere, if you can't contribute. But at the same time, you should be the sort of player who's willing to like camp down in an area, lock it down, and have a strategic goal in mind of being able to block a certain pass or something like that with artillery shots and really deal damage to units coming through that area. They could also wind up being a little bit too luck dependent depending on how they go about it. I remember that each war machine was like, I think you got 3 for some of them, and then I think you got 1 for some of the larger ones, or maybe it was 3 for all of them. But if you missed with an important shot, then you could be in real trouble. Oh, I think we've actually got some artillery here. A Caesar player with some artillery, so we'll see how that goes. I don't necessarily like the fact that I'm being matched up with such high-level players. It means that I'm going to be matched up against some high-level players. Let's see here. Basically 3 players who've gone for missiles, yeah, there's only one Roman player that's got like 2 missile units instead of just 1, but for some reason he's also got a tier 2. I don't really get that, but he can do sort of whatever he wants. I'm going to drop down here. I'm going to let Fly Kalik over here do some stuff over there. Looks like we've got purely defensive artillery. I'm going to help defend the artillery, I think. Actually, no, these aren't artillery. What are these guys? Yeah, no, they're catapults. Okay, so they're the engineer types, so it's that sort where they have to deploy. That's what it was before. I wasn't sure if they're going to keep that or not. Again, no reconnaissance or scouting up onto the high points, so whatever. People are pinging to something, I don't really know what, but the nice thing here is that at the very least this time we could potentially get some artillery fire up onto that ridge, but like no one's spotting for jack dick all. In this particular case, since I'm a lower level player, it's really not going to be good for me to try and do spotting. Looks like we managed to get it though, in the end. Looks like we did manage to get someone to go up there. I do dislike the way that you sort of move units in this particular version of it. Oh shit, that's not good.
We have first blood.
Okay, so I'm gonna get out of here. This is a bad place to be. I'm gonna draw back the artillery. Looks like we're abandoning the point up there, and we already got vision, so what the hell? Okay, our artillery player has just suicided like all of his stuff into the cavalry, but
We must cease fire. Our allies are in there.
oh shit. Game is lagging down to hell. What the hell? Alright, so we managed to get a couple of these guys hit with our spears. And cavalry gets so crushed by spears that this is going really, really fantastic. He's trying to drag through. I don't think that works in this game very well. I'm not sure why this artillery is doing so well, though. I guess maybe in the sword form they're actually pretty okay. Let's try and get out of here.
The enemy attack our base. Double time.
I'm gonna try and get out of here in general. All of my units. Actually, no, I have to cover this guy's back here. I can't... Shit. With this frames per second, I can't do anything useful. I'm not entirely sure what it is, because my ping's low. It's not that low, but it's, you know, decent. Can I take out 2 tier 2 swords with my guys? I don't really know. I do know that this game is not running, though. Okay, so let's get Apache down a bit. Alright, so...
We will have their base. Quick march. Spears. Okay. Together, men. Spears. Form phalanx.
Ooh, he managed to get that heavy charge into the middle of my archers there. Alright, let's get in here as much as we can. Turn off our whatever there. Alright, so let's just try and get our archers out of that.
Rapid advance.
I'm gonna rout for a little bit here, but that's okay. I don't think I'll rout for very long. Ooh, he's pursuing. That's actually pretty good for us. Because we're running down a ton of those units there. Alright, back on the field. And immediately killed by cavalry. Good.
Stop firing. Our arrows find allies. The eagle falls. Germanicus is slain.
Well, we killed someone, but it doesn't really make a difference here at this point.
Have their base.
At this point, I'm being teamed by like 4 different players here. There's this guy, like I've got my ally, but there's too many of my allies getting crushed here. Or too many enemies over here. He's friendly firing into the back of that unit though pretty badly, so that helps me a bit. I managed to take out a lot of that cavalry as well, so that's pretty good. I'll probably have a pretty good ratio of kills in this battle, honestly, considering, because cavalry usually get less kills. I wish they counted for more in that count, but yeah, I'm going to be dead here in just a second. Ooh, look at all this cavalry damage, though, I'm doing here. It's pretty dramatic. It's back to more like it was kind of in earlier Total Wars. We'll go ahead and watch what's going on here. We might capture before they can actually stop us. Doesn't really look like we will, honestly. We need a cavalry unit to run down these skirmishers here, if we want to have any chance of doing that properly, and just tie up these guys here, stop them from coming back in, because otherwise they'll just walk into the base again. Because if we could charge these guys from both sides like really quickly, that would be the ideal. And we need to stop these guys, because as soon as they attack one of these units that are standing in this, then it stops us from doing the capture, so... I think that this is a tier 3 cavalry unit, though. It's pretty high up there, so... These, javelins or pylon throwers here. Yeah, defeated, because they, like, didn't stop that unit from blocking the capture, so... They could have done it, but... They were just sort of standing on the point, and I think they AFK'd, so... That's okay, that was a pretty interesting match, pretty close. Yeah, I killed 1,000 enemy soldiers that battle. Oh no, that's not in a single battle. Okay, I just killed over 100 in total. Okay, yeah, I only killed 164. That's pretty actually good for all things considered. One of the things is like cavalry again comes in smaller units, so one cavalry kill is usually a higher value. You can see some of these people. Well, I guess I actually can't see the number of cavalry that they took into it, but usually this is where I am. I don't think that Cyrene is that good, but I'm usually the top for the Greeks, so that's perfectly okay there. Yeah, our friend here, our Caesar friend, I don't know quite why he just walked into the enemy with artillery. That could have gone really a lot better for him, but yeah, that's fine. So let's take a look at our progress here. We've got fully upgraded archaic hoplites and archaic archers. And we have to wait until we got 1,800 points, but it's okay because we actually also have to wait till we've got a level 3 commander. And as you can see, we've only got, only close to halfway there, so there's a long distance before we can actually get our tier 3 units. So hopefully that'll line up well. I'm not necessarily sure if it will or not. It's going to take us probably longer to get the archaic archers because, or the Ionian archers, because I don't really have as many archers in my tab. We can go ahead and take a look potentially at playing as the Romans. I kind of want to figure out what exactly was that kind of artillery that was at tier 3. So it is catapults. Let's take a look at their stats here. I do believe that these things have got fairly long range. Range is 350. That's actually not that good. I wonder, I guess it's not until you get maybe the heavy catapult that you get really long range. 350 on that one too. Maybe I wonder if they shortened the range on all of the artillery. Is this the stats for the onager? I don't know that it is. Yeah, maybe just the longest range artillery is only 350 range. What about you? Cryoballistra? Yeah, these things only have 200 range. The Vespa, the motor scooter. Vitruvian Auger, 350 on that too. That's actually quite interesting that I think that the longest range stuff that they've got here is 300 range. 350 rather. So it used to, I think, be quite a lot higher. You can take a look at the Velites. Their range is actually only 43, so maybe the range numbers mean something different than they did in other Total Wars, but that actually seems to, I think that actually makes sense. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top tier artillery as well. Still 350 range on the Ballista and the Vitruvian Scorpion. So yeah, it would be interesting to see exactly what those numbers mean in terms of how far that is, but I think that that's not actually that far.
Servant of the Republic.
Used to be like you could have people flinging artillery at each other from across the map, basically, from across spawns, and it was pretty dumb. Because you could also aim blind fire.
Ready.
I think these guys only have, yeah, these guys only have a range of 83, but that means that the catapults only have about 4 times as much range as archers do. So, and these guys aren't really that good of archers. I don't know if the higher tier archers actually have much more range though. I think the slingers do though. Yeah, these guys only have 95 range, but let's check the Rhodian slingers because I think that these guys, yeah, these guys have 130 range. So much like other Total War games, the slingers have like the longest range out of the regular missile troops, and 130 range is actually really, really good. Of course, it is less than those artillery pieces, but that's actually not much less. Well, either way, let's go ahead and try and get into another match regardless. Actually, let's waste some points. Let's waste a little bit of money here. So these are consumables that we're going to go ahead and grab. I think that I like the idea of taking the shared rations instead of taking the double rations, just because I can choose when to use this. If I feel like there's a good point to use it, then I could take it. But let's take a look at our melee defense here. So it increases our melee defense by 20%. So for us, that would be increasing it from 50 to 60 for a short period of time. So it could really help us survive in a pinch there. This would be permanent for the entire battle, but not necessarily as good of numbers. Although +4 melee damage is pretty good. Olympic Trials +1 melee defense of the entire game, so it's like a tenth of what that is, but for the entire game. I don't really know. And then this council, actually, we'll get double rations for our units, but I don't really think that they're worth it.
Battle ready.
We'll see if it feels like it makes a difference here. Alright, close that up there. Then go to our archaic archers. For consumables for these guys, there's really not much that I want. Like, I could get the +3 range permanent, but it's really not that good. Bodkin could be pretty interesting, but I think that the penalty to damage... The problem with this is that, like, all of these are limited to a certain number of arrows before you run out, and it's not that many. I think we'll leave our archers as is, but let's head on in there.
We must fan the flames of war.
I would like them to look at maybe seeing how many matches on average it takes a player to get from one tier of units to the other, especially at these lower tiers, because typically speaking, I was checking, it takes like literally millions of research points to get to the top tier of units, and I suspect there's going to be reasons why you're going to be getting points a lot faster once you get to near the top tier, but at the same time, that's so many points that I think that you're going to have to be spending real money or be playing for hours and hours and hours. Like literally probably hundreds of matches, if not thousands of matches, to go from the tier 9 to the tier 10, or tier 8 to the tier 9. I can't remember what the cap is, but I think that if it's going to ramp up that much, then these earlier levels should be easier and faster to grind through to get into the middle levels, because typically speaking, that's how these games work. Like World of Warships, I didn't spend very long on my tier 1 ships. War Thunder, I'm not spending that long, even on my mid-tier tanks, for example. Like, I just ground through to get the IS-1, and I've sort of gotten pretty close to the IS-2 pretty quickly. So, I think that they're probably going to want to look at the algorithm or whatever for how long it takes to go from one tier to the next in the early game. Like, I don't care if the late game actually does take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games. That is how a game like this maintains some of that longevity. There's going to be some players that are just going to spend all their money and just be done with it, but for a lot of other players, it's going to be that process of you learn to like the units that you have and learn to look forward to the units that are above. But when you're stuck with like the tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 stuff, which is really, really boring and can't even unlock the units that you would want to play as, like I can't even use cavalry, I can't even use the artillery, it really harms the game experience in my opinion. So like they need to make sure that you can get to those other types of units a little bit faster, I think. And that's sort of my thoughts on that right now. I've been checking the stats as well for the premium units, the units that you can only use through paying real money, and their stats are almost identical to the normal units. They have, typically speaking, slightly altered abilities of some sort, but they don't look like they're overall any better. They probably are, like, modestly better if I had to put my money on unit versus unit combat, but they look similar enough that if you had one and used your unit, it would still come down to who is using their units correctly as opposed to which side has more premium units. And if you're really serious about this game, there's no tier 9 premium units, so the best premium units in the game would get their asses absolutely handed to them by the top units in the game, and you couldn't even buy your way into the top tier premium units because they don't exist. So once you get to the really, really high-end players, you're going to be seeing people using only free-to-play units, so I don't think that the game's pay to win at all. You know, I've played like 20 matches on Thermopylae in a row or something like that. I'm exaggerating, but I think it is actually legitimately at least 6. So it is nice that I'm playing a marathon, but I remember the previous beta had some more different types of levels including like a Roman city, for example. That was quite interesting and stuff like that. We're seeing another artillery player. This time it's a Scipio, though. I don't believe Scipio has the same sort of bonuses that Caesar has. Caesar has bonuses to artillery, but maybe he'll still be okay. Let's see here. We've got 1 dedicated range player, 2 dedicated range players. We've only really got 2, and that's actually pretty good. It's nice seeing like a little bit of archery sprinkled into a few places, especially for the Greeks. But typically speaking, I don't want to see like a player with all artillery or all archers, because usually those players are like either causing huge amounts of friendly fire, or they just get run down by a cavalry charge because no one's guarding them, because why would you bother guarding an archery player? Like, realistically speaking, if you were coordinating and you had better like team comps and stuff like that, then it would actually be a really good idea to send someone to defend these guys. I think that these guys are going to go dedicated base defense, though.
Their base from them, or scatter their forces to the 4 winds.
Alright, so in this particular case, I'm going to probably camp Vision.
Double time. Spears.
And at this point in time, I'm going to guard the passes with my spearmen here. Got some other spears coming up around here. I don't really know necessarily where he's going, though, with these guys. Yeah, so I'm providing a huge radius of vision that'll let us know where they're approaching from. They've, of course, got their vision. What I have to hope that they don't do is just start randomly spamming rocks onto here, because I think that 350 range is just outside of the circle, if I had to guess. Because this is 85 range, so this is probably... Actually, this is probably... They can probably fire at me from back about here, if I had to guess. So... Well, either way, I don't know if we should be on the offensive or the defensive here. I feel as though our composition, though, lends itself a little bit better to the
enemy has first blood.
Defensive. Like, our composition actually lends us to the offending faction. Oh, here comes some swords up around the top there. I'm gonna go ahead and move these guys back a bit and get my archers pushed a bit forward here. So, oh, nope. I think we're gonna have to retreat here. Yeah, they've got way too many forces here. I can kite a little bit. Oh no, there's horses. Okay, so I need to get out now. So I'm gonna withdraw back to base. There's just too much stuff. Looks like artillery has gone for a purely defensive stance there, up behind the rocks and stuff like that. This is gonna become a bit problematic here, just because of the cavalry stopping my ally from running away properly here. But let's see if we can get a bit of a shot here in on these guys.
Stop firing! Our arrows find allies!
Alright, let's
Focus fire!
let's get some focus fire in, I guess. Got a few shots off, but now I need to retreat.
No rest!
Yeah, I need to just... I'm just getting back here. There's nothing for us there. I'm just gonna retreat all the way back to base.
Rapid advance! Swoop!
We should be able to win down here, although I think that our lack of cavalry players means that we're kind of screwed. Like, this archer player, I don't know if he's firing. Well, this archer player is firing right into combat, melee combat. I think he's probably racked up a huge number of friendly fire casualties here. But that's besides the point. Either way, we just need to get also out of range of their vision, because they're going to take the vision tower now. And hopefully also our artillery is going to start opening fire here. I don't know if they are. Yeah, it looks like they are. You get one siege engine per tick now, so that's interesting. Alright, so I think he's blind firing a little bit. He'll probably get a lot of kills here, all told. Yeah, where's our cavalry? It's all the way on the right. Ah, for crap's sake. This guy's got his unit in phalanx formation and he's not letting me through, so all my units just getting killed on his spears here. Well, that's him getting a huge amount of friendly fire damage penalty, so that's... Because he'd like, have my unit. I could have walked around the other way, but, like, when you're retreating and fleeing from a unit, you can't really do that. We should be able to actually do a decent attack if that's what they've got for defense, but you never know. They probably have more back there. Oh, here they're coming up this side. I'd shift a freaking unit up there, but, like, I think the mountain pass is being blocked.
Together, men!
Alright. I wish this guy would get out of shield wall formation and help, but I don't think he's going to. Oh, here comes the enemy cavalry right into all our archers. That's going to kill them all. Yeah, you should never have your units in shield wall formation up until the point where you're actually... Oh no, we're going to lose this really badly.
We must cease fire!
I'm not causing that many friendly fire casualties.
We
Alright.
will have their base.
He's gonna walk his unit in shield wall formation. He just mashed through half my unit with his shield wall. It is really stupid that shield wall, like, causes friendly fire casualties. It shouldn't do that to begin with. But that's the way the game works, so that's the way the game works. Shit. Okay, I need to
Are they
retreat.
blind? Our allies are firing on our units.
Yeah, I know.
We will have their base. Allies fire upon us. Cease fire.
Ugh. I bet he killed like half my unit here with his spearmen. Fortunately, I'm doing plenty of damage, and it looks like that artillery is actually doing some damage, so that helps.
We will have their base.
Alright, so
The eagle falls. Germanicus is slain. We will have their base.
yeah, here comes that big cavalry charge into the back of my spears there. That's gonna wipe out their morale pretty quickly.
Stop firing. Our arrows find allies.
I don't know how my arrows are finding allies in
Great
this
victory is
case.
assured. Their base.
I think that we might have this. Just barely, but my units are all dead here,
Death
so
has found me.
let's go spear wall. This is probably actually a bad time to phalanx, but might let me last a little bit longer here. And over here, we've actually probably dealt a lot of damage. Yeah, that was close. Managed to hold out just long enough. I actually don't think that cavalry is very good at doing what a lot of people use it for, which is sort of like trying to sneak around and capture. Because if any unit shows up, then they have to stop capturing, which is, you know, obviously pretty bad. Alright, let's see how we did here. I've actually had this. I had the second highest number of kills on my team, which is really dumb. The only one that got higher was our artillery player, which, you know, the whole thing was really stupid there. I think that you do actually lose, yeah, I think you lose points, or maybe you don't earn points and lose points anymore for friendly fire. It used to be that players that were doing friendly fire would actually lose a whole bunch of not only silver, but they would also lose like XP. So you're hugely disincentivized, but it was way too easy to do it. I see that they've made it so that you still cause humongous amounts of friendly fire. They haven't fixed that. I actually would rather they just reduce the damage that friendly fire does in some capacity, because archers are way too eager to fire directly at units that like friendly units, rather than firing at the back of an enemy unit, which would make more sense, or firing in an arc when it would make sense to fire in an arc. They'll like always fire flat basically if they can, not taking into account that there's a unit in the way. So like if you're gonna do it that way, then they should definitely play out a little bit differently than they do. Alright, so we've still got a long ways to go, but we are halfway up to our new Theban hoplites. It's been about 4 or 5 games since I unlocked both of these, so those each took me about 2 games. I'd say 3 games for both of them put together. So the total amount required is probably, to get to the next level, it's probably like 15 games, which feels a lot to me. I do feel as though that extra ration helped probably a little bit. Like the archaic hoplites dealing damage against those swordsmen. Swordsmen are a humongous thing to try and take out. So with spears, like spears don't necessarily do too well against them. They won't do terribly either. Phalanx is actually remarkably powerful. If you actually look at what this does there, melee damage plus 50%. Like melee attack minus 5%, yeah, but melee damage more than makes up for that if you look at sort of the stats there, because like the melee the melee attack goes down from 65 to 60, but the melee damage goes up to like over 200, so that's just a humongous amount of extra damage. Like every attack is going to kill a unit basically, so very, very effective strategy to use that if you can. I haven't been finding like the concentrated fire to ever be useful. I don't actually even really know what it does necessarily. in the sense of, like, I keep using it and it doesn't seem to do anything. All it does is missile damage plus 8%. Yeah, that's really not that useful of an ability, but the ability to move these guys faster is actually quite good, though, so we'll sort of leave that as that is.
Alexander.
It would probably take me 3 more games if I won all of them to get another level. I'm wondering how much I'll have for our units in 3 more games, but we'll try 1 more. With my unit composition, it probably would be a good idea for me to play as one of the defense players, and that's actually kind of what I'm used to playing. That's typically what I played back before I stopped playing the beta, or before the beta stopped or whatever. I'm not really sure actually why they stopped it even, because it doesn't feel like they've changed it so much that they would have had to take the beta down. Yeah, Thermopylae again. So the general strategy for, like, most maps, and especially before artillery is actually even in the game, is, I would argue, definitely just use your units in a big mass. Like, we've got artillery now, so it's a bit more dangerous to do that now. But if you're able to have, like, all of your units rushing down mid, there's no reason to use any of the side gates, as long as you've got some people scouting those. And all you need is 1 cavalry player to send, like, 1 horseman out to that side. It's like, yeah, there's units coming down that side. Yeah, there's units coming down that side. And if you know that, you can redivert some of your forces defending your capture point. Well, a giant death ball just sort of moves down the middle of the map in the fastest, most direct route to the enemy side. And if you do that, you're almost guaranteed to win against the player that's trying to flank. There's just no reason to flank in a map like Thermopylae. And yet, like, every time I play this game, like, I've got 3 or 4 players trying to move down the hot gates, and it's just like, you guys are idiots. This is every time what I think that. Alright, I'm gonna move my units up here. I'm gonna move back, actually, to defend. I'm actually gonna move here and then move back to defend. The reason I'm not taking this spot is that I'm hoping that a cavalry player takes this one, grabs the intel. Yeah, because we've got 2 players here. They're gonna go up the overpass. And this pass takes so freaking long.
Take their base from them, or scatter their forces to the 4 winds.
Alright, I'm gonna head back. And I'm gonna help defend up our artillery pieces. But yeah, ideally what would have happened was, like, a cavalry player would have taken this spot here, would have rushed a cavalry unit, just even 1 cavalry unit up to here, gotten the vision, and then if he saw units incoming, he could retreat the cavalry really easily. Although these units I'm actually glad to see moving the way they are, because, like, a lot of time you'll see 3 or 4 players, like, moving along up this ridge here for some damn reason. And, like, this is the longest flank route, and all that happens is you take that whole route and find out that there's, like, 4 or 5 units that are up here. And that the enemy, because we had so many damn wasted units that we couldn't contend the vision points, means that they know where our attack is coming from, so it's just like, ugh. Fuck's sake. Alright, so again, our frames per second has dropped to 1, so that's fantastic.
The enemy has first blood.
Huh, that's interesting. Alright, so either way, I'm going to get my units along up here. I might get my archers to stand along the ridgeline. You can actually have your archers stand like this, which is kind of not really useful or anything, but you can do it. So yeah, I'm just going to help defend our artillery player. We've got a pretty fast push along the side here, but, like, look at all these damn units over here. Plus I think we're also tossing artillery fire into our friendlies, but whatever. Looks like actually I think he's firing at these archers. Okay, this guy's doing something really stupid here. He should not have stuck around. He should have hit and run. At this point, he might as well be firing artillery into these groups here. I think we should be able to overrun on this side, though, really easily. The only problem, like, was... I think he's trying to do a click drag through, but there's way too much mass here, and that doesn't actually work in this version of the game very well. It didn't work in, like... It hasn't worked in this version of the game for quite a while, actually. This unit just routed immediately, holy hell. Seeing some units coming around through the hotgates. You got, like, 3 of these freaking units, 2 players worth down here doing absolutely nothing for some reason. There's no point in defending from down here either. There's no defensive advantage. Like, these players just need to be further back, because the closer, like, if you're trying to defend from down there, you might as well be on the high ground up here. And then potentially even like having archers or something like that on the edge along here. It gives you a really good line of sight. But instead they're like down here firing on even ground like it's supposed to be a fair fight or something like that. Alright. So we're probably going to get attacked pretty soon here. Crap's sake, really? Oh shit. Okay, I still need to sort of bend my units as well here, but like this is just bullshit. Is my ally paying any attention here? I don't think he is.
We must cease fire. Our allies are in there.
Okay, I think I actually managed to get his cavalry pincered in here, so that's gonna be a lot of damage.
Attack our base. Stop firing. Our arrows find allies.
I definitely am getting more of them than I am of my guys, so I'm perfectly okay with that.
Form phalanx.
Alright, so phalanx over here should be able to hold off the cavalry over there. Over here we got this cavalry sort of doing their thing. They're probably going to try and get past my cavalry or my spear line somehow. But these spears over here are doing a fantastic job. Oh yeah, look at all that damage I'm able to deal here. So yeah, I think that my opponent, or my ally, was just focusing entirely on like the wrong thing there. Oh shit, shit, shit. Need to turn that off there. I didn't think he was moving his units there. Okay. See if I can get another shot against these guys. So yeah, they're no longer capturing our stuff, so that's good. I managed to preserve all of my archers too, so that all worked out pretty well. I'm not going to have a very high kill rate on that, but actually no, my entire team's getting completely killed here. Well, okay, I guess we lose this one then. Look how many players we had wasted down here doing nothing useful. If they had been with that central push, we would have had so many more people. Like, this is just something you see all the time, is like people on these flanks and it doesn't do anything. We do need a couple people like on defense just in case someone does that sort of like cavalry push though. And that's sort of what happened, was like they just sort of tried to cheese their way in with cavalry. Looks like the enemy's also got better vision of us. They're just firing artillery straight into this block here. Either that or my allies friendly firing, I don't know. I think actually our allies friendly firing. I think he's given up hope. Okay, no, that actually hit the enemy. Okay, good. Let's see if I can hit these guys at all. I think that actually they're probably going for a flank charge around these guys. Yeah, the enemy must have some artillery somewhere. I don't know where, though. Okay, I'm gonna get my spears back into here on the capture point to defend. I know that the cavalry's sort of coming around, so they're probably going to be coming up. And then in through this way, so let's see if I can catch him. Like, I hope my teammates appreciate that I cannot keep defending all of the points that are necessary for me to defend here. I hope they can appreciate that to some extent. I don't think that they can understand that, though. I have a very low opinion of my team here. Alright, so I don't think I can see where the cavalry is anymore, so at this point in time it makes sense for me to just fall back and move them towards stuff that I do know where it is. See if we can get another shot on these guys. Yep, there we go.
Rapid advance!
I'm actually going to come around the flank of these guys if I can.
Our men are under attack!
Slay them! Destroy!
Let's go ahead and fire at these guys a bit.
We
It's going to
must
cost them friendly,
cease
but
fire. Our allies are in there!
this is definitely the time to be willing to cost friendly, because those units are dead anyway. If we can finish off these swordsmen, then
Stop firing!
that would be
Our
fine.
arrows find allies!
Archers!
Alright, so
The enemy attack our base!
oh shit.
Are they blind? Our allies are firing on our units!
Apace! Spears!
Alright.
The enemy attack our base!
Archers!
Well, that worked out okay.
Double time! Destroy!
There we go. See if we can get these guys. Oh shit, I'm fighting tier 3s. See if I can manage this.
Under our fire.
Killed Arminius, apparently.
The enemy attack our base!
Oh shit. Did not want to be firing there. Do not want to be firing there.
We are firing upon allies!
Oh, I think I know what's happening. It's this. It's this, I think.
The enemy attack our base!
I was clicking on the wrong damn unit. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it looks like we've managed to kill off this tier 3 somehow with my tier 2, and I don't really know how that happened. I'm gonna use rapid advance here. Should allow me to start catching up to these guys, and if I can rear charge them, start getting them that way, that would actually be really good. Looks like they stopped trying to run away though. Ooh, okay. I need a hoplite phalanx in return. This is Leonidas. He's gonna crush me.
Archers! Quickly! Slay them!
Oh, okay. Yeah, my archers are pretty much all dead here. My unit over here is gonna get crushed. Like, Shield Bash Leonidas is just such a huge amount of damage. Especially since he got Shield Wall better than I did. Shield Phalanx better than I did. It's gonna just work out a lot better for him than it did for me. Yeah, I'm getting crushed. Okay, yeah, I can't do anything here. Oh, that's a clear volley straight in my own back. Damn it. Okay, so hopefully my allies will be able to get some units into there, but... we're holding these guys off awfully well, actually, all things considered. Like, he has a much better unit than I do, so being able to even just hold off is all I need to do there. Alright, so we've managed to deal some pretty good damage to these archers over here. If I can just keep on them, then that's fine.
Onward!
But I'm going to lose this unit over here. There's nothing else I can do about that. Okay, I just need to get rid of these archers to a certain degree here. I don't have to get rid of them, I just have to damage them enough. Oof. Okay, so yeah, I'm dead.
Our arrows find allies!
Yeah, I'm dead here. That rock just took so many of my units out that I just can't keep in on the fight here. Okay, I'm gonna send these guys back into here, actually. Somehow we've actually dealt a lot of damage to these guys. If I can get my archers around here, we might be able to finish them off after they finish off my spearmen. chasing after these archers here. My spearmen. There's only like 5 of them left, but whatever. I'm pretty likely to be near the top of my team here in this one.
Rapid advance! Double time!
Yeah, we got like 1 guy left in this unit chasing these archers. Let's get him moving faster here. It's gonna get pyloned in the back here. Yeah, completely wiped the unit, but he forced a bit of friendly fire. So that worked out okay. Somehow, come back here, you son of a bitch.
Without fail. Archers! Run!
Alright.
Archers!
What's weird about like the volley is that you have to target an area. You can't just target a unit.
Never surrender! Never say die!
I think my unit got killed by friendly fire there. Oh, good. Fight in the shade, yes. They're gonna be pretty much immune to my arrows for the time being. Oh, my unit routed. Shit. Alright, so with that, like, our team's, yeah, finished here. I mean, it would have made sense to maybe send one person... No, it wouldn't have. If we just had that guy back here defending, and then another guy on the push, we probably would have done a lot better. I think that at most, you probably only want, like, 3 people defending, and maybe 4. Unless you can scout out, like, just a big rush if the opponent's just sending everything. I just had us, yeah. I would almost guarantee that I've got one of the tops for kills on my team here. Yeah, I'm 3rd, and pretty close. Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was just all around a pretty bad showing. Like, so little points, though, from that, too. It really hurts. I don't know. There's not much you can do in those situations, though, is there? I feel like the double rations does make a big difference, and I think that some of my allies have been using those consumables, but, like, we're typically speaking in one of the top groups, so I'm actually going to check something here. Maybe I can... I wonder if this would actually do anything. Oops, that's the wrong unit to do that with, so we'll try that. Nope, still only 30%. Okay, so there's a diversity bonus that gives you extra experience points and stuff like that, but looks like it doesn't apply if they're the same unit from a different tier. So it looks like it has to be actual different types of units. So that's fair, that's fine. We're actually at 21,000 of these silver talents, though. That's pretty good. I don't know.
Archers!
It's going up pretty fast. We might have to, at some point in time, pretty quickly, switch one of our archaic archers into the archaic hoplite slot. Like, yes, this level's faster theoretically, but at the same time, I typically get less experience on these guys anyway, because it's harder to get kills off these guys than it is with the spearmen. So, I'm not necessarily sure how it's going to go. Either way, I feel like... Yeah, I'm not really sure what I want to be doing right now. I'm saving these up to potentially get another commander. In particular, I really like the commander abilities on Alexander the Great, except he's like really expensive for some reason. He's 8,200 of this experience point type, which can be used for virtually anything, but he's really expensive. 8,200 is, as far as I know, the most expensive. Like, Caesar is 5,000. You've got, like, Vercingetorix here. Actually, Boudica costs the same. That's interesting. Huh. I wouldn't have thought Boudica would be considered equivalent to that, but yeah, Alexander the Great actually has a really amazing ability. It's called Anvil. You can target an enemy unit, and it reduces their charge deflect and melee defense abilities. And yeah, you can basically just make an enemy unit into a unit that can't move anywhere. And because of this, if you're up against cavalry or something like this, and you use Anvil on a cavalry unit with a spear unit that's trying to slip past you, you'll immediately pull that unit into combat, and they won't be able to get out of combat. They can't use any of their abilities, and you'll basically just butcher that cavalry unit within seconds. Like, it's 15 seconds, you could kill an entire cavalry unit if you got a good spear unit in that amount of time, just because of how much the spear bonus damage seems to do against cavalry in this. Really, really powerful ability. And then you can sort of match that up with the hammer. Speed plus 10%, acceleration plus 20%, and charge bonus plus 20%. The duration's a lot lower, and it's a lot less versatile than Rapid Advance if you just want to use sort of movement abilities, because Saurine's able to sort of consistently increase the movement speed bonus on this. But you can still use it in a similar sort of context there. Like, its cooldown is 15 seconds shorter, it's just that its duration is way, way shorter. But for Alexander, if you're microing carefully, and you just pay attention, just get that last minute hammer ability with one of your cavalry units, you'll basically squash whatever it is you're coming up against. And you could potentially even use this to rout enemy cavalry as well. Unfortunately, you don't get cavalry for the Greeks until like tier 3, I think, or tier 4? Tier 3. So yeah, even if I did unlock Alexander the Great, I wouldn't be able to do it for quite a while. And Theban cavalry is pretty damn weak. It's not really much, I wouldn't say it's any better than like low mid tier. I would say that they're like tier 2 almost cavalry for the barbarian factions. It's like once you get really late into it though, you can get some pretty good cavalry with these guys. The companion cavalry, by the time you get them, pretty good shock cavalry value. So I think we can look at their charge bonus here, stats. Charge bonus is 173, and this is tier 5.
Blood of Alexander.
So we can sort of compare and contrast that. Take a look at the units for this guy. Tier 5 as well. Mounted Warband. Like, these guys just not as good at charging and stuff like that. So by the time you get to companion cavalry, that sort of shock charge value is just a lot better on the Greeks. So I think these guys are probably better at a stand-up fight, though. What the hell is this consumable? Like, apparently you have to pay a whole bunch of silver talents to bring heads with you into battle. So I don't know. It seems kind of weird. But yeah, that's our playthrough of this for our Sunday Smackdown so far. Hope you found this one enjoyable.
No longer.
I don't know. I'm thinking that it's probably not going to be necessarily my cup of tea, but it's still not terrible. Like, it feels like a sort of casual version of Total War. It doesn't feel like the sort of in-depth, massive scale battles, because it really isn't. You're focusing on a small number of units, and you're usually doing a small unit action rather than coordinating with a large, well-coordinated team. And I don't think that this game's ultimately going to end up being one in which players have like really high levels of coordination, generally speaking. Hopefully I'm wrong, and it ends up having some more depth to it, or something like that, but as it is, it's pretty fun. It's distraction, and it's kind of interesting going up through the tier list and figuring out what sort of skills you want your commander to have. I think that like if you could get 10 people somehow all to be on one team in this game, and then coordinate your abilities and positioning specifically around that, that would be kind of hilarious and amazing. Like if you had a couple of Alexander the Great players, and maybe for Julius Caesar you had a few of these, maybe 1 or 2 Julius Caesars using artillery or something like that, you could do some really interesting stuff there. If you wanted maybe someone who just has the ability to go in their shock and everything like that, I think Scipio is actually really good at that. Wrath of Mars is actually really, really powerful. Oath of Perseverance is kind of interesting. I actually don't really get the point of Oath of Perseverance, because if you ever see a unit that's using it, if you're ever up against Scipio and you see the text Oath of Perseverance around a unit, just leave. It makes it so that the unit can't move anymore. Although I think that actually maybe, yeah, it's also minus 60% speed. If he's on a point though, and you have to get him off somehow, and he does this, you just sort of walk out and then hope that someone has some missiles. So it's kind of, that's not that great. But if you've got someone who can pin them down in place, like maybe an Alexander, and you can sort of use your Oath of Perseverance, it can kind of work well there. The one problem is this duration is like literally the rest of the game, so it is such a weird ability. There's so many times where it just backfires horrifically. Because I remember this being exactly the same back in the early beta, and it was pretty wonky back then too. But yeah, maybe you could have someone like maybe Vercingetorix, if I recall correctly. He had some pretty interesting defensive abilities there. Maybe he's not as defensive as I thought he was. Actually, no, I'd still say that he's good at defending here. Well, either